been a little while, Seve. How you doing?
It's been some time. I'm doing well.
You've just got back from Taiwan, right?
I went to Taipei. I went to Tainan, Alishan, all over Taiwan. Yeah, it was great.
Have you been before?
I had never been. Have you ever been to Taiwan?
No, not yet. I'm flying back through there early next year. But
oh, nice. I mean, because it's kind of close to Australia. There's a lot of, I met a lot of Taiwanese people who went to Australia. Like that was like a place they go to. I don't know.
Like a holiday destination?
Like to work and stuff like that.
Oh, interesting.
I didn't know how Australia's immigration system worked. I still don't really know.
Poorly.
But poorly.
It works poorly.
It is a point system though, no?
Yeah, okay. I know very little about it, but please tell me because...
everything I'm getting is secondhand, but
Now third-hand information.
Now third-hand information. Yeah, what am I talking about? But people were like, I don't have a high enough score. So they were like scoring people based on economic, importance or something.
Okay, so that's their like core metric. And it makes sense, is like how much impact can you have in the country in some like factor. But God, do they have to make it complicated? They've got a cost function for everything, hey?
Yeah. But, maybe it's better than like the US. It recently came out that ByteDance has like more people who get their whatever immigration stuff through. And so like US companies kind of know how to manipulate the system.
Oh, 100%.
But other than that, it's a little bit lottery-like. So I don't really know what the right way to do it is, but neither of these seem perfect, I guess.
No, everything's imperfect. I mean, there's the O1 visa class, right, in the US of like
the
exemplary.
O1 is good. Yeah. And the O1 is being given to lots of people now. Yeah.
Oh, I think in our communities, there's only a couple of thousand a year. So
there's only a couple thousand.
There's only a couple of thousand.
How many applicants are there? Do you know? What's the acceptance rate?
The acceptance rate's actually very high because it's a lot of money. It's 10 grand plus to have it done. And it's very expensive. So it's cost gated, but also you genuinely need to be like exemplary. To actually,
you got to have like press articles about you and stuff like that.
There has to be press about you. You have to be involved in something serious and growing. And like, it's no joke to get it. But the thing is, the people applying for an O1, it's one of those self-filtering things as well, where like you're not going to bother going through this really expensive process to try get a hard visa unless you're like, look at the criteria and you're like, yeah, I have international awards and my work is necessary for XYZ.
But now I understand. I didn't know it cost $10,000 to apply.
So that's for the lawyers, and that's at a minimum.
Wow.
Like it was 20 last time I went through. Wow. I haven't got one myself, but I've observed the process now a couple of times. 20 was last time.
Wow. Yeah. That's crazy.
It's pricey.
And now I understand that there were some YC founders that were upset that they didn't get the O1 visa. It kind of makes sense. If you paid 10, 20 grand, right?
Yeah.
I mean, no matter what, you lose 10, 20 grand, you're going to be upset, right?
But it's good for the economy.
Yeah. I mean,
it boosts the legal system.
Our legal economy. What's the contribution to the GDP of just legal stuff?
Of America's litigious nature. It's probably pretty significant. I don't know. It's probably percent of GDP. The fact that you do all this extra paperwork.
I mean, just think of like the percent of money like you personally or as a company spend on legal fees. I don't know.
It's probably not insignificant. I mean, if you count the government as nothing but this like large legal body, which almost definitionally the government is a legal body, right? Then that's actually, it's what, 20% of GDP, 30%? No, it's 36 in the US, right?
GDP is basically made up of friction, Wow, huh? Anyway, so I was in Taiwan.
Yep.
And all the street food was like $2.
Oh, mate, that's awesome. Have you been to Thailand as well?
I have not been to Thailand.
Okay. Have you been to other places in Southeast Asia?
This was my first trip in Asia, actually.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I mean, I've been to other places. I was going to ask for comparisons, but $2 for street food is a ripper deal no matter where you go. Yeah, that's awesome.
It's maybe not the healthiest thing. That's like that's the downside.
Is it? What kind of like food is it? Is it like saucy? Is it deep fried? Is it like crispy?
Yeah, there's like deep. So the thing that was really big was braised meats, I think.
Okay.
So like what you would see on the street is these giant tubs filled with like a sugary kind of sauce or whatever.
Yeah.
And then there would just be tons of stuff. There would be eggs in it. There would be beef in it. There'd be chicken in it. Everything would be in this thing.
Yeah.
And then you throw that on top of like rice or throw it in some noodles that are also seasoned in their own way. But you get a lot of combinations from that and a lot of cheap food. Also,
Sounds awesome.
Boba. Boba was invented in Taiwan.
Interesting.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I did read actually that I think it was Taiwan's second biggest export after silicon chips specifically was boba.
Yeah. All right. So real quick, I want to explain that everybody is doing boba wrong.
You make it sound like a drug. We're all snorting boba little balls or something. We're doing it wrong.
I probably had at least on average 2 or 3 bobas a day.
Whoa. Are they heavily caffeinated? Because they're tea, right? Are they heavily caffeinated?
So yeah, it's tea. Yeah, that was basically my caffeine source.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Although Taiwan also does coffee, but almost everybody does boba wrong. They get boba sweetened, right? There's no need to sweeten boba tea.
Okay.
You get 0% sugar. The boba is a sweetener. Like the boba makes your tea sweet. Like try tea and then tea with boba, and like you're gonna get some of that sweetness from the boba, and you don't need the sugar.
They're like tapioca balls, aren't they?
Yeah, they're like I think you're right. They're like chewy.
Gelatinous something.
Let me tell you about boba, and then I don't know what boba is. It's chewy, you know.
Okay, I'm pretty sure it's tapioca little balls.
Yeah.
And tapioca's got sugar in it. It's just a plant root, isn't it?
I think so.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what were you doing over there?
I wanted to like tour some fabs and like do some stuff like that, but I realized pretty quickly that me nor my translator, my partner, had enough Chinese to get through all of that. So it ended up being very lax and mainly just kind of experiencing all the stuff there, eating beef soup, stuff like that.
Cool. Okay. So did you actually end up making it into a fab and you didn't understand what was going on?
No. Yeah. When you're having trouble ordering food, I think you're like not ready for, I would have had to hire a translator for sure. You know, there's like technical terms in there. There's also like negotiating the visit. We were like, we're negotiating, like we stayed with a tribe in Alishan. So there's like indigenous tribes in Taiwan. We stayed with one of them and they only spoke Mandarin and Taiwanese. And so we had to like work with them, and that was really, really difficult. So it's like if you're trying to get into a business setting, you know, there's a lot there. So I didn't realize this trip was kind of about figuring out how much there was to learn, and it turns out there's quite a bit. So next time I'll do some fab tours. There's tons of fabs and interesting electronic. I mean, first of all, Taiwan has electronics everywhere. If you go to a parking lot, there's going to be a sign that says how many cars are in the lot, how many spaces there are, right? And I mean, even if you look at like pictures of Taipei, the street is littered from head to toe with all these electronic signs and stuff like that. So I think they're like
kind of Tokyo-like vibes, like Shibuya, or
probably. Okay. I haven't been to Tokyo, but you know, probably, okay. Yeah, because Tokyo also looks like that, right? Yeah, I mean, I think they just have like a base level of technical expectation. From that perspective, from an electronics perspective, that's higher than us.
Yeah. And plus, there's some enormous brands out of Taiwan, like Giant Bicycles. I think it's the biggest bike brand in the world. Is Taiwan.
Really? I didn't know that.
Well, I believe it is. Otherwise, I'm getting my brands mixed up. So they make a lot of bike frames. I believe they're the biggest carbon bike frame producer out of Taiwan.
Oh, wow.
Like not just Giant, that is, but Taiwan is the biggest carbon bike frame producer, period. And obviously, all of the high quality silicon or the best quality silicon comes out of Taiwan. TSMC. Who are just like, what an insane company. It's just strategic, like almost a government strategic company. They're like, we need something to protect us from those guys.
Yeah.
And what better than being absolutely necessary for all of civilization at this point?
Yeah, I mean, like, hats off to the founder and like everybody there. Like, imagine having a company that's that important, right? Like, I don't know if any company can, you know, claim that they help protect the country, you know, that they're a deterrent.
Like the Silicon Shield,
like,
you know.
Apple can definitely like say things, but I think at the end of the day, Apple's like diversified and like it's not quite that pointed, right?
Yeah. I mean, Lockheed would make that claim, but I'm not.
Lockheed would make that claim. Yeah.
They also make. They're a little suspicious in other ways. So
there's probably some pretty important defense companies. Lockheed gets bigger every year. You know?
Do they?
Yeah, I think they grow like 1,000 employees every year. There's no slowing them down. Just kind of interesting tidbit I read recently. But how was the time since we've been apart, Matt?
Oh God, I mean, it's been roughly 3 weeks since we've spoken, Seve. And in that time, I mean, working backwards, I think some of the biggest events were Luigi, what's his name?
Oh my gosh.
Luigi allegedly
shoots
the United healthcare CEO. When working back further, we've had, God, what else has happened in the last 3 weeks?
Oh my gosh.
It's just been a litany of stuff.
Willow came out. Google's quantum chip.
Oh yeah, Willow came out, and the Gemini got shot to the top of the charts in AI code production specifically, which is actually a big jump for them because they kind of sucked at it.
They were bad, yeah. Gemini jumped up just yesterday. Devin was released publicly.
Oh really?
Yes.
I didn't realize it wasn't public before.
I was telling Matt before this podcast started, I streamed until like 1 a.m. last night. I was playing with Devin.
You playing with Devin?
Yeah, I was just testing it out. It's $500 a month.
Yeah, right. So did you see as well, actually, that the rumor we'd heard was correct in ChatGPT Pro is $200 a month?
Oh, yeah.
We were discussing this a few weeks ago.
Yeah, we were talking about... Is that what? Did we call this?
Yeah, good on us.
Somebody go back in time. We need to clip that.
Well, and then we were discussing how high it could go. So actually, if anyone at OpenAI is listening, you could have gone up to at least $2,000 is actually the conclusion we reached.
Oh, really? We said $2,000?
Yeah.
I was considering paying $200 a month because when I work on auto routing algorithms, it's like it's so worth it because it can pull out so many papers and stuff like that that it's totally worth it.
Have you tried it?
O1, yeah. Yeah.
No, but for
I haven't tried O1 Pro yet. Yeah, no, I couldn't stomach the $200 a month, but apparently was willing to stomach the $500 a month for Devin. So.
Yeah, Devin, it's an interesting marketing plot, right? Because they're comparing it to an employee, and they're like,
yeah,
Devin, $500 a month, way cheaper than employing someone, and they're not wrong, but it kind of feels like the Factor meal kits where they're like, Factor, way cheaper than going to a restaurant every day for every meal, and you're like, I would hope so. It comes in a little plastic box and I microwave it. I thought microwave meals were supposed to be cheap.
That's so true. Devin is like cooking cooking at a restaurant. Wait. Let me get this analogy.
Devin, the comparison they're making with Devin is saying that it's like an employee. Yeah. But it's only $500 a month, right?
Yeah.
And so you're like, what a steal. But if you're comparing it to ChatGPT or Ada, for example, which is free on top of some model, right? You're paying $20 a month. So that delta is 480, or the multiplicative delta is even worse when you look at it that way.
Yeah. And after testing it for a long time, and you could watch the stream, it was like 2.5 hours of just testing Devin, and I ran maybe 12 PRs through Devin.
That's okay.
And it got so 12 real issues.
Yep.
And I got 12 real outputs from Devin, and I did code reviews and stuff like that. I think it only got 2 of the 12 issues.
As a hole in one where you accepted the PR? Do you
where I accepted the PR. I think I might have had to request changes on like one of the 2. But I will say generally if Devin's going to get it right, it's going to one-shot it. It's not going to be after the review.
Okay, that's so interesting. Yeah. Because I would have expected more hints and context to get better, but I've observed the same. Cursor is my main IDE.
Yep.
And if the composer gets it right, it's typically in a one shot, or I can ham away on it. And I found it better to edit the original prompt and get it to restart than trying to provide more context of no, now this, etc.
Absolutely. I think this is such an important point. Like there needs to be some kind of blindness to their existing solution when they create the new one, because what I'm seeing with Devin, and basically everything, once it gets it wrong, it remembers the code.
Remembers the wrongness.
It remembers the wrongness.
Yeah.
And so it just can't correct. So that's what I saw with basically every code review I did against Devin. I started giving up on the code reviews. I was like, it's way too wrong on this. I'm not going to get it to correct it.
You would have a bit of a look and you see structural problems.
Yeah.
And so you would say, nah, restart, or in this case, it's out. It's done.
Right. I think if Devin people, if you're watching this, I don't know how many people paid for it, by the way.
So it's probably worth actually saying what Devin is.
My gosh. Wow. So Devin is sort of actually, I mean, it's kind of like, it's supposed to be a developer employee, but it's AI. It's all AI.
It's an AI agent. Is it an IDE as well?
No, it's kind of like if you hired somebody and put them in Slack and asked them to do things. That's what it is. So it's really like a remote employee that's sending you PRs and kind of giving you updates on their work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So how it works is I do @Devin on Slack, and then I give it a link to an issue, or I just tell it to do something.
Yep.
And then it will enter that thread and start saying like, oh, okay, I'm thinking about it. Hey, how's this sound for a plan? I'm going to go ahead and do it, you know, or you can stop it or whatever. And then it'll do a PR and it'll listen to review comments and stuff like that.
Yep. So it's an AI agent masquerading as an employee.
Exactly. An AI agent with the interface of an employee.
Okay. Yeah. That almost sounds the worst because I kind of hate Slack as an interface to my compatriots.
I'll say I love their interface.
Their interface is good.
How they actually, yeah, almost everything, like, because they have you can also click in and kind of see what it's you can look over the shoulder of your employee and see their
and they don't mind because normally they really get pissy about that.
Yeah. And you can scroll through time and see how where they're looking at different files and stuff like that, so you can scroll through time and see everything.
Yep.
And the reason I love this interface is because I'm always mobile, right?
Yeah.
And whenever I'm mobile, I want to be working on something.
Yep.
But I'm not able to. There's just like not a good phone IDE.
Sure.
This problem is so like annoying for me that I was thinking about just like getting SSH on my phone and like logging in and like, because if you interact with an AI or Ada or something, you can kind of get work done. So Devin fits that spot pretty well for me.
Okay.
Like, so that UI, I think I wouldn't change a thing about the UI, but I would change the results. I think like, I think the results are not there, but I mean, like, and I'm so, I really want to be bullish on it.
Yep.
But like the way that the way it responds to reviews is bad. Is what I would say.
It's not good with feedback.
It's not good with feedback. Just like a junior engineer.
Just like a junior.
Just like don't take the ego. You ever have that? Yeah. Where somebody is, their first reaction is like, like you're being critical of me, not my code.
Yeah. Well, if you didn't suck so much, you might have written better code.
My favorite thing about live streaming is how you can be really mean to your audience. To your audience, and they enjoy the engagement. Yeah,
like, give me more.
So somebody will be like, "Oh, review my project," and I'll just grill them, and they'll like it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay, that's an interesting take. I haven't. I typically try to be nice to people, but I am really brutal with bots, AI, Siri. It's not uncommon to hear me in the kitchen with, "Hey Sonos, play something," and it's like, "Sonos, you idiot, what the was that?" And it doesn't respond obviously because it's just like, I don't know what to do with this prompt. But I think the dangerous thing is that we kind of forget the distinction between people and the AI, and we kind of blur those realities and end up speaking to people like that. So I should probably stop.
I'm nice to AI that I like.
Are you not worried about the impending future in which they enslave you? And
no,
that's not your motivation.
It's not like that. It's just like if an AI really helps you, I actually feel indebted to them like a human. Like Waymo, when Waymo says, "Oh, hi, Severin," I like instinctively I go, "Hey, Waymo, like glad you're here." Like,
I'm also glad about Waymo. I feel ingratiated to it.
I'm so grateful for it. I think people have been talking a lot about debanking. That's also something that has happened. And what I'm worried about is de-Waymoing.
De-Waymoing, oh God. We kind of need the de-Waymoing though, and the difference actually is that it's a private company that manages and orchestrates.
Yeah, they actually could just decide to.
Well, and also they do own it. It is their thing, and there's Zooks and etc. The bad thing would be if someone created this blacklist overhead, and then because one company decided they didn't like you, some ephemeral entity ends up with a blacklist and you can't use any taxi services. Now that would suck.
That'd be crazy.
So we should probably make sure that doesn't happen, or someone should start a company doing it, because it does sound like it'd probably make a lot of money. But
yeah, that's crazy. You also, there's like, Waymo is literally probably the safest form of transport right now. So you also have this thing where if you get banned from the safest form of transport, like I mean, that's kind of a strange thing. Like that's physical security, you know? I know, this is like the most like crazy political thing, but like debanked, you can kind of move to another bank. It's very bad.
Well, that's the problem, apparently. Anyway, we'll get into that in a second, but you move around, apparently.
Like, public safety is probably good. Everybody should.
I think we should all agree with that.
You know what I mean? Which means we should all be in autonomous cars.
I think so. Well, we should have a reasonable federal or ideally global, but federal specification on how safe they should be. And then you can meet that. And you don't need to certify city by city. You can just, it is significantly safer than a human driver. Great. Now we should all drive those. I think that's a pretty reasonable
expectation. I would love that if the federal specification was like safer than the average human driver, and then we just started knocking out those human drivers. You know what I mean? Like take them off the road.
Take Terry out of there. Terry, you stink. You're below average. You're done.
This is the most mixed civil rights conversation ever because we're like, yeah, de-car people, but then don't de-Waymo them.
See, this is an interesting take actually. So the other day there was a really unfortunate Cybertruck crash in Berkeley. 3 students died, and 3 students were killed.
Wow.
And people were looking at the Cybertruck as like it's a big shiny symbol of something, but it could have been any car or truck. But in my opinion, trucks are inappropriate vehicles for cities, and they should be banned.
Really?
You should not be allowed to drive a truck in the city, period. It's pretty, like, they're enormous, they're big. In the US, at least, they do not account for pedestrian safety, and they would be actually illegal to drive because of that, the pedestrian safety standards in Australia or Europe.
Yeah.
And this isn't to say we should ban trucks. There's obviously have some purpose, but they're a wildly inappropriate thing for you, Joe Blow, to be driving around as your normal vehicle in the city. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that decarring people, or at least specific cars, de-trucking people, is nuts at all. I think we should have reasonable safety standards.
Wow. We could get D-truck t-shirts. That's such a that feels like a very soccer mom t-shirt, but it's a good point, because a lot of people, when they get the truck too, they're like, oh, this is the safest vehicle for your family. Like, yes.
Greedily.
But yeah.
So the real situation is, this is a perfect example of a problem of the commons, right? Where you end up with this race to the top of who can get the biggest truck or afford the biggest truck, because that makes them individually safer. But on net, you're just screaming towards danger collectively.
Yeah.
And so we should probably put the brakes on that one. I don't think it makes sense, particularly when you take electric trucks, which will do 0 to 60 in 3 seconds or something.
Yeah.
They're dangerous if they were just a regular car, because you have to handle something with that power and acceleration.
Yeah.
But they weigh 9,000 pounds in the case of the Hummer.
Yeah.
Not a truck, but a stupidly large vehicle.
I saw a very romantic thing in Taiwan.
Okay.
I saw hundreds and hundreds of scooters.
Oh.
And I would say 50% of the time, it's a guy with a girl on the back of the scooter. You know what I mean? And I was like, wouldn't that be a great first date? You take the girl out on the scooter. Like, wouldn't that be fantastic? And I was like, why can't you do that here? And I was like, it'd be really dangerous. A scooter crash, because the streets in Taipei are probably like 70% scooters, if I had to guess, and then 30% cars. And the cars are different.
Yeah. And the people are used to it and kind.
Yeah, and the people are used to, and absolutely.
Yep.
But a scooter-on-scooter collision it's probably not going to be
bad. But
it's bad for sure. Like, motorcycles are dangerous. Actually, now that I think about it, what is more dangerous?
A motorbike or a scooter?
Well, no, obviously
riding
motorcycles
are
different, but are motorcycles more dangerous in the context of having so many cars on the road that we have? If we had all motorcycles, or many more motorcycles, would it be safer? I think the answer is kind of yes, because a lot of motorcycle issues are from car drivers not knowing how to interact with motorcycles.
It's true and it's not. So with motorbikes specifically, I don't know the stats of the US, but I do in Australia. And the vast majority of motorcycle accidents in Australia are single vehicle accidents, which means that you hit a patch of gravel and you skid it down the road, or you ran into something. So it's not a car's fault at all.
Yeah.
There's no interaction. And so even if you assume that with the cars around, only half of those are the car's fault, then all of a sudden it's really on you as a motorcycle rider.
Yeah.
And so you're going from, I think it's 26 times more dangerous than a car.
Whoa.
Which is not great.
Yeah.
But if you factor that down with what you have ownership over, it's like 1 or 2 times. It's nowhere near as bad.
I didn't know that.
This is in Australia, where the roads are better quality, the better surface maintained. Drivers, there's stringent requirements on what it takes to get a license. It's not just kind of an over-the-counter thing. It's a different place. And so, but you would reduce all the pedestrian deaths, which is enormous, right?
That is huge. That is huge, yeah. And I do wonder if scooters would have different stats because they can't go on like highways and stuff like that. Or maybe, I don't remember if they did in Taipei, but I feel like
you probably shouldn't.
Everything was different. Yeah.
Generally shouldn't.
Yeah. But they feel a little safe for the motorcycles. I don't know why. It's a scooter.
It's a funny one because actually, so I rode motorbikes for 5 odd years. I haven't got one over here for roughly the reasons I illustrated. But it's the dynamics on a motorbike are very different to a scooter because of the wheel size and where the weight is. And so on a scooter, you have this enormous weight right over your back wheel with really poor suspension because you typically couple the engine to the back wheel, which means your unsprung mass is enormous compared to just a magnesium wheel, right? And so that means every bump you hit, it has to accelerate the whole engine along with the wheel. And so it's really jerky in comparison on any potholes, any roughness in the road.
Really?
And because of the small wheels, when you angle over, with the wheels in that case, but when you angle over, you're likely to hit the tub on the ground pretty easily, and your geometry of your bike in general is unstable. So from a dynamics perspective, from a vehicle performance perspective, motorbikes are in a different class to scooters entirely. The brakes are better as well. There's a lot to it.
So scooters aren't safer, is kind of what you're saying.
Not inherently, but it's the riders, right?
Oh yeah, because they're not somebody who's like, oh man, how many horsepower is that?
Yeah, I got 7 horsepower in mine.
The other thing I wonder is like the same way that there's standards on how fast an e-bike can go before it's considered a motorcycle. I wonder if like that's why I don't remember seeing a single motorcycle in Taipei. It was all scooters.
Yeah. No, totally.
So it might just be everything is underpowered.
Which is a good way to be. Maybe that's the other way you could look at the truck problem. Yeah. Maybe it's not we need to like seriously consider banning trucks full stop. Maybe
you can't ban trucks in America, man.
In the cities, not everywhere. There's a use for them in some places.
You might be able to have like a city rule. I wonder, but I haven't seen that or like rules like that in most cities I've been to. So I do wonder if it's possible. You know what I mean? Like there might be, our legal system gets bigger and bigger every year. And I wonder if there's some precedent set in 1832, like I'm allowed to take my horse here. And all of a sudden that became like trucks can go everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's not too hard. You put in some bollards in the middle of the road and then bikes and scooters only. Easy peasy.
Yeah. You know what? I bet part of it is, like remembering my history classes is the federal government subsidizes the creation of some roads. Yeah. And when they're involved, you have to like it has to be like more public or something like that.
Oh, interesting.
Like there are rules around it because the federal government helped pay.
Because their money was in it.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I wonder, because I mean, look, the reason there's so many trucks in the States is because they're subsidized. There's less tax on a truck than a car. And so people are incentivized to buy them.
Wait, what?
You didn't know about this?
Truck?
On a truck.
Like a F-150, like your standard.
Yeah.
There's less taxes.
Less tax because obviously it damages the road less. It's consuming less fuel. No, I'm being facetious, of course. It's because they're commercial vehicles, or they were at inception.
Oh.
But now everyone, basically in the 70s when they did this, they said that commercial vehicles, we're going to exempt them from this taxes.
Yeah.
But obviously, this is where my view of them being inappropriate. If you treat them like a commercial vehicle and you're a contractor, you own a company, then sure, drive the company truck. Maybe you need to consider some power and acceleration limits. That's okay, right? That's sensible. Yeah. But you personally driving it to drop the kids off at school and then go to your office job, get stuffed.
Well,
get out of
here.
Hey.
I'm not dropping the kids off. It's self-driving. It's self-driving.
That's
kids.
What the Waymo is for.
Yeah. I feel like this might become a solved problem if you can get the safety like way up there.
You're right.
Like
you
with
could compensate for it in other ways. Yeah.
And I want to live in that because I love the Cybertruck. I think I love it. I haven't ridden in one.
Not yet. Yeah.
But like, it's like one of those things that like I just like perversely want. It's like an incentive for me, you know? And it's just because like the mix of the self-driving and then it's like really big. It's got the frunk and the bunk or whatever.
Really big. Oh, you're so American.
Is it not big?
No, it's pretty big, but you're so American.
Yeah, but the thing is like I want to be able to. Oh, man, my parents bought like a camper van, you know?
Yeah.
These things cost as much as a house, but you know, they got their whole lives in there, and I'm like, man, I just want that freedom.
It is pretty cool. Yeah.
Big trucks and freedom. That's all. Look.
Welcome to the Electronics Dev Podcast. No,
where's our USA flag in the
I do feel you. Look, I get them. I get it. It's cool. I kind of want one, but that's like the whole point of the regulation in this case. You need to pull it back a step.
Yeah.
You know, you need to keep things sane, basically.
Yeah, there's like the stats of what's actually happening. And that's how you create incentives too. It's like, okay, we want trucks back. How do we do that? We make them more safe than sedans. And then
there's probably a better thing. Instead of banning trucks, just make trucks or make a safety standard that says for everyone, pedestrians, other vehicles, etc. You have to include that in the safety standard, and you're not allowed to sell stuff below a certain threshold.
Yeah,
that's simple.
Well, I'll say there's we're talking about cars for a while, but there's 5-star crash safety ratings.
Yeah,
and it feels like everybody just met those at some point.
Yeah.
And there's never a 6-star. So
they keep cranking up the standards in Europe and Australia of what it takes to be a 5-star car. So a 2013 5-star car and a 2023 5-star car and cap in Australia or Euro cap are not the same thing.
That's kind of confusing to me. I would, just like from a UX perspective, I would increase the number of stars.
They have a points alongside it, and they do keep increasing. So, yes, you should, but maybe we should expose that. We're going to have a 36-star car into the not too distant future.
This is a 29-star car.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Something, all right. Last thing about Taiwan, probably.
No,
maybe.
Please. I mean, it's been an incredible trip.
When cars were backing up, they had a top, it looked like they had a drone looking down the car. Have you seen this?
I have seen it once or twice.
This is incredible. It's incredible. So you have cameras all around your car. Almost every car had this.
Oh.
And so you have cameras all around your car, and they take pictures of the ground to give you this top-down view. And I'm like, this is the best UX. Nobody cannot parallel park with this. It's crazy. It's like you're playing a video game of your car, but you can see everything.
Are you sure it didn't just like flip up a little mast and have a
yeah, right.
Like the old school antennas, just
to make this make this less romantic though. I took a 2.5-hour taxi, and apparently you are allowed to watch YouTube while you drive in Taiwan. And so this guy, luckily he was just watching music videos, which, you know, it wasn't like a compelling movie or something. He started watching the news at the end.
Oh my God.
But yeah. Yeah, my taxi driver was like yawning too. He was clearly really tired. He was like watching the music.
It's been a 14-hour day.
Oh my gosh. So, you know, Teslas have these like, you know, these big TV panels in the center there. So it's up on there. This big, news.
This was in Taiwan in a Tesla?
It was, no, not in a Tesla. It was whatever cars. Yeah.
Okay. But you're saying in a Tesla, they would be, you know, you could theoretically have
center. I guess, does every car have this big center TV thing now?
It seems so. I mean, everyone seems to be doing it.
Everybody's
what all the cool kids are doing.
We all want TVs in our cars. I'm excited to, they say that you can use the car's GPU to play games. So everybody will just be playing games in their car. I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have like 10 kids at least. And then I'm going to be so stressed. And
you're going to have a procession.
Just gonna go into my car. And instead of crying, I'm going to play a game.
And you'll have a procession of self-driving cars with one kid in each. They each have their own console. Is that your plan?
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. Everybody goes to their car to game. Instead of having like your room, you have your car. And that way we can save a bunch of money on the house. I'll sleep in the same room, you know, like one of those long beds in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. You know what I'm talking about?
Everyone alternates direction they sleep in. Seve, it's a beautiful future you got in front of you, mate. Thank you very much. Enjoyed talking to you.
Good to see you, Matt.
I'll catch you soon.